So today we're pleased to be joined by Bradley Joe. Bradley is the Senior Director of Product Strategy at Comtrend. And today Bradley's going to help us understand OpenPON and how this open architecture solution differs from current closed fiber solutions. He'll specifically cover the key benefits of OpenPON, such as cost savings, flexibility, and scalability, and simpler network management, among many other benefits. And with that, I think I will just go ahead and hand things over to Bradley to get us started. So Brad, if you want to take over the screen here, and you can go ahead and begin.
Right. Thank you, David. Okay, let's see if I can do this correctly. Right. All right. Okay, so are we good to go?
We are good to go. It looks good. We can see your slides. So
All right. Thank you,
interested to
David.
learn more.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Again, my name is Bradley Joe. I am excited and glad that you guys have taken a moment of your day to spend time to learn a little more about what we in Comtrend are excited about as it relates to a concept we call OpenPON. And what really, as described in the title here, is that really it's kind of a new way, a new trend that's happening in the market today in terms of how people are bringing fiber. Let's see here. Whoops, let me move forward. Make sure this works. There we go. So making sure how fiber is really being delivered today, and there's more and more options for telcos and service providers in terms of actually providing fiber in a cost-effective and really a proven method of delivery, and giving really the service providers more control of the network than they had before. So what you see here is some examples of some customers that have embraced this concept. And as we'll discuss in a little bit, everybody talks about open. As you see here, OpenPON is exactly what it means. Open, fiber, basically. And different companies are doing it in different ways, and I'll be talking about some of that in just a little bit. So let's fall into that. So what is going on today as it trends around OpenPON? As I mentioned, everybody wants to be open. It obviously has a very positive feel to it. And here, Cisco talks about it. They're implementing an OLT chassis, breaking down the OLT chassis with this new pluggable. We'll talk about also in a second. So, a brand Ciena is also a company that many of you are familiar with in the transport side of the business, but they've moved forward providing access solutions. And they also focus and talk about open. As of just last year, that press release, and an article by Joe Marcella, the VP at Ciena, discussing really, as you see here in the quote, that pretty openness is something to consider. And again, something if you haven't spent time thinking about whether or not that could be a different something you're doing today or something you're thinking about doing, if you might be using a more traditional OLT delivery solution. The idea of creating a best-in-breed, future-proof network, as stated here, based on closed and proprietary technologies, is really impossible. It's literally something that you should consider going forward in terms of advancing your total solution, in terms of delivering the best solution to your customers. Also here is Adtran talking about openness. Of course, they also are a big player in the market. Many of you know. Radisys, a company that you might know about, but they just recently in a similar webinar like this presented their open source infrastructure solution, again, talking about open. And then also here is Harmonic. And for those that don't know Harmonic, they're very big particularly in the cable space. But more recently, they've made definitely some inroads into also the telco space with their solutions. And they also talk about open. And so with that, we'll talk about that a little bit. So let's move forward then. So the industry is thinking about open. You hear it all the time. But what does it really give you? So ultimately, it does give you freedom. It allows you to have the uh, freedom to choose, the independence of choosing, um, basically not being tied to a single vendor, having you choose what you want in your architecture, and how you want to deliver fiber. Also, there's flexibility, as David mentioned. Bottom line is that it allows you to customize your network with best-in-class solutions. And then finally, cost. You would expect that with the idea of competition, that you would be able to get other vendors to compete. If you have a generic solution that you want, a generic ONT, why shouldn't you be able to compare with other options that you have so that you get the best price performance? So let's talk a little bit about these three directions. So look at this chart again. On the left here is the traditional model today in a number of different implementations of fiber broadband. Um, but as we stated in all the different announcements, there's a direction moving forward on, hey, why do I have to choose, a certain ONT? Why do I have to choose a certain switch? Why do I have to certain gateway? Why can't I pick and choose? So again, the closed systems really, for some of you that went through, and well, actually, I take that back. Many of you, for those here that are service providers, have definitely felt the challenge of long lead times, and that basically that you want a certain piece of equipment, you want a certain SKU, but because you have a certain vendor, you're locked into place. Um, I'm sorry, there's some connection, there's some noise online. Just if we could mute that, thank you. Um, Also, that uh, when you're tied to a single solution, then of course you are really tied to the total solution in that when the costs are changed, when a certain SKU is changed, and the price goes up, you're really kind of tied to that and really don't have many choices as a service provider. And then again, finally, you have situations where whatever they offer is what your roadmap is. Once you choose a certain provider, and again, there are benefits of that. I'm not saying there's not benefits of that, but ultimately, it'd be great if you could pick and choose. Flexibility and best fit. This another benefit of OpenPON. So the idea is you want to choose best in class if you could, if you had the option, because there's a lot of solutions out there. There's a lot of manufacturers, a lot of different products out there with different feature sets. And it's kind of a shame that as a service provider, once you get tied to a certain direction that's not as open, then you don't have that ability to go with that, say the latest technology just got announced by a certain vendor, a certain price performance gain from somebody else that you could choose from. It's just a challenge. Um, Second, legacy equipment. Uh, Bottom line is if you decide you want to go into and bring fiber into a new community, well, you might have a new community or change equipment. I'm sorry, in a current implementation you have community, and you're willing to bring fiber to that community. You might have legacy equipment there. Maybe you have GPON in there already. You want to change to XGS-PON. Um, the challenge is, of course, you want to leverage some of the equipment you already have. So again, if you choose um, a closed solution, you might not be able to leverage that old equipment, and you might have to switch that out. Again, not really the really flexible um, uh, option. And then finally, um, the idea of best fit. You really want to be able to pick and choose to make sure that the equipment that you want and its features that you want is available, as per the diagram here. And that could be software, ONT, the actual gateway router, the switches, um, uh, even splitters, etc. All right. And then thirdly, from an open PON. there's definitely cost savings. So um, here's an example of an article that I came across, we came across at Comtrend, that really breaks it down from a third-party organization that basically did an analysis about what it would be, using ONT as the example, of basically having to select a specific ONT from a quote unquote closed vendor solution, where you basically had to choose the ONT, versus going out and competitively uh, doing a comparison and allowing price competition to happen. So, so looking at the study they did, we can basically, they did it on a large implementation, but we can translate that downwards to whether or not it's 100,000 subscribers, 10,000, or even to as small as 1,000, what potentially that could be. So this is just an example, but it shows you that there's a 24% savings in this study, that if you had the ability to choose, you could actually save this amount of costs in your capex when you're implementing fiber. So, agreed, there might be benefits in the using proprietary to some level, but a lot of cases, ONTs are ONTs, and the idea that, again, you could save if you implement an open solution, I think is something worth considering.
So I believe we have a quick poll to run at this point.
Yeah, thanks, David.
So a quick poll, if you don't mind submitting an answer. If you are a service provider, what is your biggest challenge or challenges with growing your fiber implementation? And you can select more than one in this case. So we'll give you a few seconds here to go and respond. And we've got answers coming in, kind of a bit of a split here. All right, so we'll give you just another second or two, and then we'll go ahead and close the poll out. So if you haven't answered, get your answers in. All right, let's go ahead and have a look at the results. So the results coming in, it looks like people have a variety of reasons. Pretty interesting split here. Solution cost and lower profit per subscriber is leading with 60%. A few people are saying lack of timely OLT vendor support. And let's see, concerns about long lead times and product availability, that's certainly a high one at 52%, and lack of resources and capital to grow, or limited experience, is affecting a lot of people as well at 40%. So again, interesting mix. And the good news is I think many of you are looking at this option, but are running into those barriers. So yeah, useful feedback here. So with that, Bradley, I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, David. All right, so so thank you for answering that poll. Just hearing what you said, David, it shows that what we are seeing and what the industry is seeing around the need for more options and solutions is exactly what what I based on the poll. Just obviously it's a limited sample, but the point is it is what we're hearing when we talk to customers here at Comtrend uh, with their challenges of implementing their solutions. The key thing that I think was interesting is the 60% was on cost, correct, David?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, got it. So let's talk some more about it then. Let's get an idea then, what are the options that really service providers have today. So what I'm showing here on the screen really is a kind of a spectrum of what openness is. And again, not surprising, there's no single definition of what open means. There are, on the left here, what I'll define as, companies who basically, are one vendor type solution. That again, that works for some people. And then on the very right, there's the totally open, which doesn't exactly exist, to be fair. Nobody is actually, let me plug and play. There's obviously people uh, and organizations out there, standards organizations trying to create more open standards solutions out there. But in general, there is a kind of a hybrid of what's open. Some will allow you to, many will allow you to choose your ONTs. Um, Others, will allow you to choose the switch you want. But so let's go into that a little bit and talk a little about what's out there a bit. So to start on that, I want to go back a little bit and talk about this device here you see on the screen here. Now, I have a version of this. If you could see it, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but this is a micro OLT based on Tibbet technology, launched, I assume maybe, actually I should be careful on the date, but definitely, you know, uh, maybe 10 years ago or so. But the bottom line is this is a technology that it became kind of the catalyst of beginning of what providing more open solutions to the market. And so this is really an OLT on a stick. And and by basically creating this form factor and this ability to, you'll see in a moment, I'll talk a little about it, to plug into any switch and allows this flexibility. This does up to, 116, 164, 1 to 28 split. But the bottom line is that it just creates a flexibility. Once you could choose any switch to go into, once you can move this around from switch to switch and basically move your resources and basically this investment into one community to another. I think it opened a lot of doors for people in terms of the flexibility um, and the cost structure of this, basically to improve service providers' implementation of fiber. So what you see here is there are companies like AT&T, Charter, Liberty Global that have basically selected this technology, moved forward with this technology. A number of have some big implementations of this technology, but it really was the beginning of this idea of open. And but since that time, let's talk a little more about that. Um, I'm sorry, I should say that this form factor is, as I mentioned, also um, not only just flexibility, but it does, just by definition, looking at this, is a reduced footprint. Space is obviously a big deal, so this fits a lot into maybe small situations, maybe in a strand mounted situation. You could have these in a small cabinet plugged into a small switch. You don't need a large a chassis that doesn't fit, so it gives a lot more flexibility how you deliver fiber. Okay, and scalability I talked to a moment ago. So, uh, so if you are interested in this and say, you know what, who's doing this, etc. So today we are Comtrend is partnered with Phonics as one of our partners, and in their situation, they deliver this micro OLT, could deliver it, as a quick sample, get up and running very quickly to let you even to see it in action. Um, the question, of course, is the management system. How is this managed? So what comes with Phonics delivers a solution is a MCMS, so a network management system that is relatively straightforward, easy to do. It manages devices, provisions it, allows you to see analytics, etc. So this is one option that we've seen very popular, particularly to more of our smaller rural telco customers. So this is one way this solution is delivered. Another company that's also implementing open architecture solution is Sienna. So many of you know them via, again, their transport switches, et cetera, and they're obviously I come across them quite a lot, but they themselves have more recently, in the number of, I'm not sure how many years, maybe 4 or 5 years now, kind of went into this area in terms of bringing their capabilities and bring it to the access side of the business. And they implement this micro OLT. And to be clear, again, I call it typical technology, was purchased by Ciena, but they basically manage it via their Navigator NCS, their own uh, network management system, and they also benefit from allowing. They have some of their own ONTs, but they also are open to uh, ONTs and gateways. Also, again, another vendor who's really trying to be open with their architecture. So so where would you implement this? So here's a couple examples. I want to go through a situation. So what are the benefits of having, again, this form factor, and where would you go? So one of the things we've seen with customers is that they implement it, particularly with transition from DSL to fiber. Obviously, DSL, Comtrend is very well historically. We and still today deliver DSL solutions to customers, to many of our service providers. But a lot of them, of course, have, when possible, are migrating to a faster solution to fiber. So that transition um, uh, is one of the drivers of considering fiber, and therefore this is a great opportunity to try something new. Try a more open solution, a more flexible solution, a more cost-effective solution. And so what you see here is a typical architecture, what it would look like. Um, Note that in this situation for these micro OLT, it is XGS-PON, so I should be up front. It is XGS-PON focused. It's not GPON for this particular Tibet solution. And I believe there will be development going on for 25 gig and beyond. So this is the direction, but XGS-PON is the starting point. Also in the greenfields, you might be doing something as it relates to a new build out, to what you have going on in your current territory, subscriber territory you're in. You might have acquired a another telco, another service provider. And so, again, it's another opportunity to maybe upgrade their solution to fiber. And and then, of course, if you happen to be not that many, but we do come across it, a new service provider in an area, you should consider the idea of an open solution as an option. Um, Also, adding what you have. So right now, there is, for those that don't know, there is the ability you have GPON, for example. You might want to just cap and grow. So you go ahead and say, you know what, I've got all my current customers already in their homes with a GPON solution, but how about adding XGS-PON uh, um, to my solution set, to what I'm offering to customers. So via a coexistence module, you can basically have these work side by side and allow you to basically leverage the existing infrastructure you already have, that you don't have to change out the GPON architecture you already have inside some of the homes, but then you could then add XGS-PON to some of those customers. So again, it's just another option to adding what you have. The implementation of OpenPON doesn't have to be a total forklift of your solution. You basically could start somewhere. Maybe you could start on an apartment. We've had customers come to us and say, you know what, Comtrend, I'm just implementing an apartment. I'm in a rural area. I have this one implementation where just this apartment needs to be upgraded, and I want to bring them to fiber. Can I just do that only? And yes, through multiple methods such as this or otherwise, it's a great way to start on implementing a open PON solution in parallel to the maybe in that example I'm giving this service provider, they already have a legacy uh, solution already, a PON solution, and they want to basically just add this new open PON solution to these new apartment. So again, there's many ways to approach. In a lot of cases, what we come across is again, the challenge of forklift is real. It's big. We understand. Again, when we speak to service providers, it could be scary because there is cost as it relates to the idea of hey, you know what? This might be something they have to now teach somebody something new. It's another interface to learn, etc. But once they see the solution, the MCMS solution, or they get help from um, Sienna for their management solution, et cetera. Um, it actually is not as complicated as people think it is. But the bottom line is that um, the benefits are definitely there for OpenPON, and to try it out in just a simple add-on to a brownfield situation is definitely doable and being done. So I want to go back and talk about a third company. And again, these are just examples. As I showed in an earlier slide, there's definitely other companies doing OpenPON in different ways of open. Another is Harmonic, and this is a newer partner of Comtrend's. We're working with them, and but they've done something I think is notable that I would like to share. So as I mentioned, Harmonic has come from really the cable background, and so they have a lot of tier one customers they work with, et cetera. So they've basically gone above and beyond a um, a a Tibet-based solution and built a more let's call a full solution based on their COS network management solution. Um, Again, it's very complete, and they've also done also multiple form factors. So in this case, you'll see here something very familiar in the first diagram here. It does look like the Tibet OLT we just talked about, Tibet-based OLT or Sienna micro OLT, excuse me, Sienna micro OLT. But the bottom line is they call it the Fin OLT. It's a similar hardware based hardware, so it has a lot of the same benefits. But they've also added two more solutions. Um, Called Pearl for outdoor and Pier for indoor. They're basically chassis-based type solutions that basically does even more. So here you see in the bullets I have down here, um, they've really put in the technology, the virtualize the software into this total solution with their core networking management system, and allows now not just XGS-PON, but also um, uh, supporting GPON and combo XGS GPON and 10 gig EPON into one total solution. So this really multi-dimensional solution uh, delivers is something that's new, and I think it actually creates a lot of options for customers, again, to support legacy situations and supports growing. And my understanding is they are going to be supporting more advanced, again, faster PON solutions going forward. So they also provide a mix of OLT shelves, nodes, pluggable devices. They have a range of things out there, and all under a single unified, again, single interface. So again, historically, they did come from DOCSIS background, a lot of their, again, from the cable background, but they've been able to put it together into a single unified system that makes it easier to manage. So I just want to highlight this. Again, I think all the solutions I mentioned before, Phonics, Sienna, definitely are great solutions, but I just want to highlight this also as another example of a different way of delivering an open solution. So um, what they do, just to highlight, they have made it very clear to the market, and you can go to their website, see their collateral, that they're open. Again, they don't want to lock vendors in. This directly came from, online from their marketing, very clear. Bring your O&U, select the best in breed, avoid CP vendor lock-in. And I assume that also means gateways. And again, they see the same thing that I'm describing here. There is a better way than just a closed solution. You have options out there. Why not leverage what the market and what the many manufacturers out there can do um, for the benefit of your own organization? So this is, again, the Harmonic calls it open ONT, their positioning, and it fits very well to this OpenPON story. So So who's doing it, right? So here's just a quick example of a company that decided to, in this case, doing in this case, a uh, MCMS solution, and with one of our, again, our partner Fox. And this is based out of Montreal. It's a situation where a condo retirement community had problems with their GPON. It wasn't clear to me though. I don't think clear to them what the problems were, but a lot of complaints, and so they decided to basically switch over. And in that switch, they decided to work with Phonics on an open solution because it was a cost issue. Um, and so they basically, what you see here is a generic switch. They chose they went with um, a micro OLT solution. Again, what you see here. Um, it was, I think, pre-stage where they had in every single of these condos, they preset the equipment in there. They let the users know when it's going to be changed over. And the exciting part is that changeover happened over these 200 condos in only 2 hours. That's amazing. And and what I understand, and to this day, that basically they don't have any service calls yet with that implementation. So the idea of this simplified delivering of this OLT on a stick is happening with different situations. And if you want to know more, feel free to reach out to me, or obviously you can go direct to Phonics. But the bottom line is you can learn more about this example of how they did this. And I can tell you right now, the cost structure for this was extremely inexpensive, and we'll talk about that in a second. All right. So actually, I'll talk about it now. So for the cost, so this is an example that Comtrend put together. So it's us doing a little comparison in terms of what would it be for a 500 subscriber implementation if you decided to go with a simple micro OLT solution. In this case, through our partner uh, Phonics, uh, a basic open solution. And you see here, from a CapEx perspective for 500, about $80,000 or so. Again, give me some flexibility a little on this, but it's about this in our analysis. It'll be different potentially on, your situation. I believe this is a 40-kilometer version. You might want 20-kilometer, et cetera. But the bottom line is that um, 80,000 is a good foundation to compare. But what is it that, as a service provider, what are you, would it take you to set up 500 subscribers on fiber? I think basically when we show this slide to customers, the feedback is, wow, that is competitive, very competitive, and exciting to the people we talk to. But what's been more compelling though, um, and I guess you should expect this from new technology, but what's exciting to them, and also of course compelling to us as we in Comtrend, looked at where we want to go and what we want to promote, is that this technology, from an OpEx perspective, is amazing. So as you see here, again, we won't describe what is being that any service provider is currently paying annually for their to keep their fiber solution going. What you pay to these to your selected vendor. But the bottom line here, if you're in a situation right now, and again, using another example I came across, I spoke to a service provider that was wanted to implement fiber into a new area, and he was thinking, wow, I've got competition in that new territory I'm going into, new community I'm going to, that has overlay with a number of competitors. And they were wondering, how do I beat them? Is it going to be, again, on more managed services, a better managed services, better support, and more features? But at the end of the day, most service providers know that at the end of the day, it's still about price. How much do I get for a gig, for 200 meg, 500 meg? So at the end of the day, how can you compete there? So one example and option to consider is, why not go with a OpenPON solution, because OpEx is a huge deal. So if you could go and implement in the beginning also just a slightly, as I showed just in previous slide, little, it's going to be competitive, if not definitely more competitive from a CapEx perspective. But from an OpEx perspective, um, it'll allow you to, maybe it can get you to a point to, instead of offering for $59.99 that everybody else is doing, you could offer $49.99. You could actually compete on exactly the price point that what a lot of customers decide on. And so this gives you an option to basically, in the example of the customer I spoke to, uh, allow him to go into this new area and get and gain market share and come with something different um, into this new competitive market he's getting into. All right. So with that said, I'd like to introduce into poll question number 2, if David, you don't mind.
Absolutely. So the poll question's up now, so go ahead and get your answers in. The question is, as a service provider, how likely would you be to consider an open architecture-based solution, OpenPON? And your choices are, an open architecture solution would help my business. I need more information. It might help my business, not sure, need more information. And happy with interoperability of your current fiber solution. And we've got some results coming in, so keep those coming in. We'll give it another few seconds here. All right. And let's go ahead and we'll close out that poll and have a look at the results. So it looks like a large percentage of you are really interested in open architecture, believe it would help your business. You've got 42% who have already done their analysis and know it would help. Some still are looking for more information, but believe it would be helpful, and some just need more information. There's a few out there that are happy with their current solution, but certainly the majority of the folks on this call are looking at open architecture as a possible benefit to their business.
Awesome. Now I know this, let me move to the next slide. That's kind of a staged question, but I appreciate, and it's exciting to hear that the feedback is what we see. Again, the bottom line is we've been giving a presentation around OpenPON to a lot of shows recently across the country, and the feedback has been similar. A lot of people are interested in learning more about it. I started off about a year ago where I would ask a question in audiences and say, hey, have you heard of OpenPON? And I get very few hands. But I'll tell you this, more recently, on a show just recently out in Indiana, when I asked the question, I definitely got a lot more hands up. And so it's clear the message both from from where the industry is going, the new announcements from, as more and more companies deliver a more open solution, I think they're seeing, and the writing's on the wall. So it's great to see. So thanks, David, on that. Okay, so now in this final part of the presentation, I just again wanted to switch over and talk a little about Comtrend. So the question, of course, is again, Comtrend, why Comtrend? Why are you talking about OpenPON? You're not delivering, because the solutions that I talked about, the OLTs, Comtrend doesn't sell these OLTs. We don't sell this Sienna micro plug. We don't sell harmonics hardware. That's not what we're doing. But we are excited to our own customers. For many of you service providers that are online here that have purchased at one time or another Comtrend's DSL solutions or other gateways we sell, our Ethernet gateways. The bottom line is that we see that this is where the trend is, and we obviously want to promote this to our customers. So where does Comtrend fit then if we don't do the OLTs? Well, we're the last mile access solution. So again, we do the gateways you see here in this photo. We do we have a lineup of ONTs, XGS-PON ONTs, and our intent is to provide to our customers a kind of a we believe we're a trusted advisor to them, and we want to show them what's available in the market. And we believe this is something that is going to definitely be beneficial, especially to a lot of the current rural telcos customers we have as they continue to grow their fiber, transition to fiber, et cetera. It's definitely something that we think is a trend they should be aware of. Bottom line is, so in terms of putting our money where our mouth is, so we have these lineup of products, but we focus a lot on certifications, interoperability. That is where, if you want to be open, you have to be open. You have to be willing to work with many of the leaders, such as Ciena, talk about Harmonic, and offering, different solutions. We do also have integration certifications with Adtran and Calix, and support Plume. So expect that from Comtrend, because again, options what we want. We want to run on our competitiveness, our lineup of products, and we'll continue to add to it, which I'll just talk about right now. So, again, powerful partnerships that we focused on. So again, when I said that, we're working with different vendors, we are, because we believe those partnerships will assist us with delivering better solutions for our customers. We do a lot of testing and integration, as many of you know, with our DSL products, and moving forward with our Ethernet and fiber products, and then, supporting and getting certified with a lot of the partners. So here's just a quick example of the different people we work with today, and this is not a complete set, but the bottom line, some particularly as it relates to OpenPON, vendors, both manufacturers, solution providers, and VARs, and also distributors in delivering this. So feel free to reach out to any of these organizations and to talk to them about their open solution, and bring up our name. They are aware of what we're doing and working very hard to make sure our products work with their total solutions, depending on however they implement open. Okay. So our lineup, again, as I mentioned briefly, ONTs, gateways, home networking. Expect that we'll continue, since I focus on product strategy, to develop these lineups. We're continuing to add new products. Particularly for this OpenPON webinar, this obviously is a big deal for Comtrend about the lineup. We support 2.5 gig VoIP solutions, those that care a lot, and particularly that are looking to BEAD funding. Obviously, VoIP becomes a requirement, but anyhow, we have definitely competitive price cable products, to 2.5 VoIP, to XGS-PON 10 gig, and then 10 gig also with VoIP. And then one of our newer solutions here on the right is an SFP plus ONT that again will fit into switches and strand-mounted devices for other unique situations where you might want to have the ONT in a different location outside a home. So what are the key takeaways? Again, as I mentioned, in a competitive market, you need a competitive edge. And if you're doing the same thing as another service provider is doing with a closed system that maybe is continuing to increase their costs. Many of these companies are focused on software, and a lot of the costs for that software is something, again, you might be using. I cannot speak for everybody, that you might be wanting the different software solutions they offer, the cloud software services they offer. But many of what we learned in the rural space don't need all those capabilities. So they might be more open to just, look, I just want to deliver a fiber solution, and I don't want to pay for all the up costs, et cetera, for that. I don't use it. So if you need a competitive edge and wanted to compete at a lower price or higher profitability, it's something to consider. The benefits, as described earlier about flexibility, scalability, are there. And we'd be happy to talk to you more about these things and see what it means to you. Because again, every company has a different challenge depending on how rural they are, or whether or not they're in a kind of suburban area, or whether or not they have mountains in a lightning area with lightning. There's all types of things that is a challenge for service providers. And let's talk about it and ensure that we have there's a solution for you. And then finally, as I described, it's only growing. Again, Harmonic is the more recent one that we're partnered with, but they've been working on this for quite a while and developing a large solution. Ciena still developing their products. And again, Cisco, others, there's just more and more people getting into the space and realizing there is an area that is being underserved. So, so with that said, I appreciate the time that all of you have here and came to listen to this talk. Um, so with this said, open to questions that might come from the audience. Let me know.
Absolutely, and we do have some questions that that are come in here. So just to kick things off, somebody has asked, does Comtrend's ONT truly interop with these different OpenPON vendors?
Yeah. So again, a good question, because in reality, we all know that open is open. We follow standards. We do our best to, follow standards, open MCI, OMCI, and other things. We try to ensure that it works with that. But standards are standards, and there's obviously interpretations. So what we've done in the case of our relationships is to make sure that our devices, we spend time with our partners, such as Ciena, such as Harmonic, and with Phonics and others, to ensure that our product with them. So we do the extra mile, as I described earlier. We do want to make sure that it is open, but let's do testing. And so we do that. So, and we will continue to make sure that as we work with more people, that we continue to do our due diligence and make sure it works, being tested by partners and also in our own labs. So fair enough. There is no perfect open as plug and play as all the time. There's always, what's it called? Always verify. Always need to verify. Trust but verify. Fair question.
That actually, that's a good segue here into another question here, and they're asking if they want to talk to any of the OLT vendors you mentioned. Would I reach out to Comtrend? And I'm sure if maybe there's one that you didn't mention, they could reach out to you as well.
Okay. Can we go to the next slide and show that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get your
Um,
information up there, and
okay.
I will also
Why,
post something
why
in
you,
the chat as well.
okay. Yeah, great. I appreciate it, David. Just while you do that, I mean, the bottom line, absolutely. Feel free to talk to. Obviously, we're very well known in the service provider space. We have a direct sales team out in the field, U.S., Canada, um, Latin America. Bottom line is reach out to any of us for an introduction. If you already know, some of these providers, many of them you obviously know by name, but otherwise. Let me actually here. Here on the left is AJ Scott. So he's our channel salesperson. So feel free, channel director, to reach out to him directly, or of course to me here if you want to know more. Happy to do a warm introduction or just a simple contact. And then, again, we work with them together to put together hopefully an integrated and open solution for you when you're implementing fiber. Fair enough.
All right, let's see here. Somebody's asking, I currently have ONTs from my current fiber OLT provider. Can current ONTs interop with these open PON providers?
So there's a good question. So in that situation, it's a question I get a number of times when I'm giving presentations, and that is the challenge is open. In the case of openness, it does still matter that the ONT provider, whoever that ONT is providing, is providing that ONT, has made sure their devices are open and they work. So uh, what we've discovered is really depends on the company themselves, whether their OLT or their ONT is open. So I won't speak. Obviously, I can speak to those here that I mentioned. These companies here uh, that we work with are open, and they do interop and work. But for others, it really just depends. And I'm sorry I can't speak to it directly. So we'll have to just talk about it case by case because again, not everybody spends the time to ensure that things interoperate.
All right. Let's see here. So does this OpenPON solution include being able to use non-proprietary SFP modules?
Well, I guess the question is, what do you mean? So if it's an SFP transceiver, you're doing fiber? Yes, of course. Obviously it works with the switches, and um, I can't speak again whether or not you're implementing a Sienna-based solution or you're doing harmonic or a traditional micro OLT with phonics. Uh, it just depends. What your architecture is and what you're doing. So in the case of harmonic, they will support any standard fiber transceiver. Um, but in the case of a phonics MCMS, you'd use Tibit to provide fiber. Assuming that's the question being asked. XGS-PON transceiver this is it. So there you go. So hopefully I answered that question appropriately. Feel free to reach out to me if I didn't.
And somebody is asking how reliable are OLT SFPs?
Oh, I described great question. I described right in I think the third slide in. Um, so AT&T is one of the first people that really implemented this in a very large scale. My understanding is they're continuing and ongoing adding on to their solution using this similar technology. So this is just one, using a tier one as an example. And I won't speak for Harmonic with their Fin OLT, which is based on similar technology, also in production being used. So I'd say that the quality's there. This is not new technology, Now, new for many of us, especially the rural telco market, because Comtrend's trying to let people know about it. But yeah, the technology's been around a little bit and developed by some of the leaders, as I understand, of PON technology actually helped develop both the software and the hardware.
Great. And somebody is also asking, does Comtrend help launch the OpenPON solution?
So yes, I would say that helping. The key word is helping. We didn't develop OpenPON as a concept is open architecture, but Comtrend's embracing it. We're focused on it. We're pushing it out there to make sure people know that there are options. So I would say that we are definitely in promotion support of it. And so we're pushing the concept everywhere we can. Because again, the most important part is we think it just adds value to service providers. I mean, the idea of being locked, I don't believe that's the best choice for all companies. Now, again, I can't speak for everybody. There's definitely reasons why you want to. Some companies that want to be, a one size, one vendor organization for their fiber. But I think a lot of people don't really want that, which is why we're talking. And again, I know that by just talking to a lot of our customers.
Sure, makes sense. And with that, I think we will actually, we're right at about time here. We'll wrap things up. But first, I just want to say thank you again, Bradley, and thank you to Comtrend for bringing us this presentation and this great information. We appreciate it. Your email and AJ's email is in the chat window there. So if you want to grab those emails, please do so. And you can actually download that entire chat using there's little ellipses next to the tool there to let you download that chat, so you don't even need to copy and paste. And see, some folks are giving you thumbs up here, Bradley. So great job. And again, we really appreciate it. A couple of.
I'm sorry. I just before you close off, I just want to thank everybody for attending. I appreciate just spending time to learn more about OpenPON because again, I think it's something I'd love to see it as it evolves. It still continues to evolve, so it's really good. Okay.
Absolutely, and we of course appreciate you taking time for these as well, and really, just again appreciate everybody's time. And with that, make sure you answer our feedback survey so we can get some information back from you. That'd be great. Just a couple of quick announcements. We are looking for volunteers for our FBA Optic Path program. If you're not familiar with this program, this is our program for providing some certification and training for future fiber technicians. So it's a great program. We're super excited about it, but we do need your help. So if you are somebody with an education background or interested in helping deliver Optic Path, please do reach out to us. You can scan the QR code there to get more information. And lastly, we have our next Regional Fiber Connect coming up very soon here in October 8th, and that's going to be in Calgary. So if you happen to be in Calgary and or near Calgary, or you just want to take some time and go up to Calgary, definitely do so. We'd love to see you there. Registration is now open, and you can get to that registration through the QR code or just go out to our website. And there should be a banner there for that registration for you. And lastly, just again, take time to come back and view more of these webinars. We appreciate the opportunity to deliver these to you and appreciate all the support that we get from our members like Comtrend in delivering these. And so if you want to see what else we have in store, just go out to our website and look under the events tab. You'll find our webinar series there, as well as our Fiber for Breakfast series, which is a webinar we do every Wednesday, featuring Gary Bolton, the FBA president and CEO. And that's also available as a podcast, so you can subscribe to that too. So please check out Fiber for Breakfast and future webinars. And thank you again to Bradley and Comtrend. We really appreciate it. And with that, we will wrap things up and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.